Mr. Speaker, the first half of the debate is a debate between Abu Mazen and Netanyahu. What we're going to challenge here, we're going to talk about what's good for the EU. We do agree that moral issues is important to the EU, but we say that in secondary degree after our own interest. We say here that in order to gain our own interest, in order to get all the lovely things that first half want, we need to project power. And we need to project power and we need to do it now. This will be my first point. Then I will talk about why Israel, and I won't give you a moral issue, why Israel. I will give you a realist issue. I will talk about Israel is an easy target, and it's not only an easy target, it's an easy target with a perception that's a hard target, and therefore it will seem that we're projecting a lot of power when we don't need to do so. First of all, I will talk about all the benefits that we get from all the likely things I talked about now. Therefore, as you understood, I won't have a lot of rebuttal, because I totally agree with all the things, nicely things said within Hamas. I will challenge three main things. First of all, about the idea that Israel will threat back. And what example did we got from Roy? We got the Cuban Missile Crisis. The example is in our side. No fire was shot at the Cuban missile fire. Why is that? Because both sides understood that war is bad. We don't want to get it. What will happen here? After the first step of we are going there, threatening, everything is okay, then start the negotiation. Then we start about talking what do we need. What everybody will perceive, that we see the EU going with chips and having some kind of a change in the Middle East. We say it's great. We don't agree with the idea that World War I is analogous to here. Why is that? That's my second point of rebuttal. Because World War I happened in a different time. It happened in a time when all of the agreements wasn't on the ground, was under the carpet. Nobody understood that going to war against Serbia, what it means is going to World War. Here, it's not exactly the same. Because we do agree that small wars can happen, but nobody, if anybody even in World War I will knew about what will happen from war, nobody will go there. First point about Russia and China. He said they really like sovereignty. They don't like to hurt sovereignty. But what he forgot is Russia and China see the Palestinian territory and see Gaza not as part of the sovereignty of Israel. They don't see it as a break of sovereignty. Therefore, they will think that it's even in their own interest because they're doing something that China and Russia are supporting. They're not in Israel's side in that case. Therefore, we don't think it's that important. 3 points. Let's start now. Projection of power and now. We say today Euro is in a crisis. We say that when Euro is in three main reasons. Crisis, China and Russia and Iran. I think Iran is a major factor in this debate. First of all, about the crisis. We say when Euro is sinking down in a crisis, when people are starting to lose faith in Euro, what happened next is Euro is not leading the world anymore. Euro is not that dominant in determine the world order as the first government wants. What do I mean by that? She's losing the power to negotiate. She's losing the power to have the world as she wanted to shape the world. What is our alternative? What we're saying here, that when we send ships to that area, we see that we have a war, that we're influenced in that area, and when we need to do something, we have the power to do so. And what we are saying is that's also projecting power to China and Russia. We saw Russia going inside Georgia, doing whatever she wants, and with us sitting down beside. Why is that? Because she knows that Euro does not go to fight. Euro does not have their money where the mouth is. Euro does not intervene. What we're doing here, we're intervening in a place that we're saying this is really important to us, and we say that we really mean business. Because we don't just talk about lift the blockade or do not build the settlements. We're doing something military that is really, really, really scary for the other side. Third point, Iran. I will get to it later to Iran, but when Iran is building a nuclear bomb, and moreover, when Iran is saying that she will close the Hormuz sector, what we're saying here, we don't accept countries not to let flotillas or ships drive in the water. What do I mean by that? We don't accept any kind of blockade, and then we establish a first taqdeem that it will not happen again. It will not let us pass, and let's show a great message to Iran. Now, why Israel? After I told you why we need now to project power. Because Israel needs the EU, first of all. Israel has two main allies in the world, the EU and the United States. She knows she cannot lose one of them. Therefore, what we're saying, Israel from our perspective is a really easy target. Second of all, what we're saying, Israel is perceived as a rogue state. She perceived as a state from two main aspects. First of all, from inside the EU, by the citizens, by the citizens in the EU, especially by the Muslims in the EU, as a rogue state. What we're saying here is we're dealing in a region that looks really hard for us, or not that common for us, and we're sending their ships in order to maintain. Therefore, what we're saying, Israel will not do nothing because they need us. And what will happen from that? We'll get all the lovely benefits from projecting power that we'll get in a second. Yes, second.
You agree that Iran is dangerous, that it's a rising power in the Middle East, and yet you don't prefer to attack it when Iran stated that it's against Europe and
I agree. What we're saying here is we're not also attacking Israel. Nobody's attacking no one. I said no fire will shot. What will happen with Iran, and that's my first point, Iran will see that we really mean business. What do I mean by that? Today, the European Union perceived as the little puppy of the United States. And when the United States say, send troops to Afghanistan, when your public doesn't want, or send troops to Iraq, when your public doesn't want, the EU has no stand of what doing, because they're doing what the US told us. When we project in power, Iran knows we have threat from another country. What do I mean by that? Then Iran will need to think twice by closing the Hormuz or most part, because they know that we did it before, we sent ship when we need it. Second of all, the internal. What we're doing, we're uniting Europe to have an idea that we have power, we're projecting power to other regions. That's especially important to the Muslims in Europe, that we see that we deal with the business that's really important for them, and we're doing that, and we're not successful. Furthermore, what we're saying is, at the end, we need to be a superpower in order to determine the way the world, see, as first Gaza first said. In order to do that, we need to project power, and that's what we say here. Let's project power.